Good morning, everybody. Oh, actually, I don't think it's morning. Oh, let me adjust myself for cameras. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, whenever you're watching, or good evening, whenever you're watching again. Thank you for joining us live on this edition of UKBF Talks. In today's episode, we're going to be focusing on how you can use digital marketing to drive sales for your business. My name is Jacob Collins Brown, the host of UKBF Talks and the host of the Grow podcast. And today we are privileged and honored to be joined by a wonder, somebody who is a sports enthusiast and a business enthusiast all in the same breath, Mr. Tommy Gentleman. So we're going to bring Tommy in now and I have a good old chat and draw as much value from Tommy as we can whilst we've got him here. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, Tommy.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, everything else in between. Jacob, it's good to be here with you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing all right, mate. I'm excited and I'm going to say it right from the get-go. Thank you for having me on, and I really hope that I can help provide some value to anyone listening or watching.
No, that's it. That's what I'd like to hear. So, apologies for the delay in the start today. I wanted to make sure that my hair was looking good, and as you can see, I've got a hat. So, yeah, apologies. We're gonna go straight into it, Tommy. If you want to let the audience know who you are, because for all we could know, you could be an alien, right? So, who are you, and what you about, and why do we need to listen to what you have to say to us today?
Yeah, well, look, it's a choice to listen to us or not today, isn't it? But I really hope that if you do, you get something useful. I am the owner and the founding owner of Tide 55 Digital Marketing. I've also done a few other bits and pieces in the past, but one thing that I'm going to say just now is I know what it's like to be in the trenches. Running a business isn't easy. There are lots of things that people talk about, and there are lots of things that people don't talk about. And so hopefully today it will be a case of telling you honest, truthful, useful opinions on digital marketing and everything else in between. And yeah, the world needs more of that. So I'm not going to give the whole, this is how it all began and blah, blah, blah. If it comes out along the way, great. But why should you listen? It's a choice. But I promise you'll get at least one thing that's useful for you if you're a business owner watching this.
That's what we like to hear, and I really appreciate the fact that you mentioned that you have been in the trenches, because running a small business, as I've come to find out briefly over the years, it's not easy. At times, we've got all these massive aspirations of what we want to do, how we're going to do this, all the money that we're going to make, but there's 365 days in the year. You have to wake up each and every single morning to make sure that you're working away or making the right tractions towards the goals that you've got. So everything that you're going to be speaking from is from a place of experience as well, which is extremely valuable in itself. So we're gonna go straight into it. So this topic is on digital marketing and how digital marketing can be used to drive sales towards someone's business and how to increase in revenue. So how would you define digital marketing?
Digital marketing is the obviously digital version of marketing itself, and marketing helps to fuel sales. Every business needs customers. Sales is the transaction that causes a customer, and so therefore marketing is about the first run of that relationship, which is about attention, awareness, and driving traffic to that sales process. Very important to recognize that it's marketing and sales, not sales and marketing. Marketing and sales. And so the digital marketing explanation of that is just using the digital tools that are available to us this day and age in order to start that process that eventually ends up being a customer.
Do you know what? Somebody gave me a question to ask you today, and that question was, "What's?" Let me read it exactly what it is. Why is digital marketing important, and how is it different from traditional marketing?
Yeah, it's really a good question, and it's very easy to answer. It's about using these tools. Anything digital that has a screen that is connected to the internet is a form of digital marketing. I actually really like traditional marketing. I really like offline marketing because I love the psychology of it. And I think sometimes with digital marketing, we forget that it's the same thing. It's just using different platforms, and the speed in which the digital platforms allow us to market to our audience compared to traditional offline is just incomparable. It's just crazy fast. And also the accessibility of how many people we can reach. And so it can be quite overwhelming when we think about the bigger picture of digital marketing. But really, when it comes down to it, it's about the psychology that we've always known. And that goes right back to, hey, I've got some of these carrots. I've noticed that you haven't got any carrots. What about these? Should we swap some carrots for some of your potatoes? So it's about the psychology of somebody wanting or needing something and then somebody else being able to provide it. What happens in between is a transaction, and marketing is just the awareness of all of that.
Yeah, no, I really love that that in-depth definition. Um, so moving on to the next question. What are your favorite digital marketing channels and why?
My absolute favorite digital marketing channel might surprise you. It's actually email. And I think email gets, well, it doesn't get the spotlight, I don't think, that it deserves. The reason I say that is because we've seen day in, day out with our clients that we run email marketing campaigns for example, the amount of power that they have in terms of increasing and generating revenue, but also the psychology behind an email. Interestingly, an email is the only piece of digital content that has an ending. Everything else on every other platform, whether it's a piece of video content on YouTube, whether it's your social media, or whether it's a website, usually there's stuff that sort of happens afterwards. You scroll down and then they're trying to keep you there, right? So something else comes in. Now, with email, it's very much there's a message, it comes into your awareness through your phone. You can write stuff, you can put images, you can have links going out, you can sell things directly, you can track things like open rates and click rates, and you can retarget off the back of those. So it's by far my favorite. I really think it gets is very much underrated. But outside of that, I've got a soft spot for video, and I think any platform that has the ability to connect people through moving images is a really powerful asset to any business right now.
So before I ask you to kind of break down or give me a recommendation of a marketing funnel and what a marketing funnel is, why do you think people underrate email? Why is that such an underrated avenue in this day and age? And how can
Yeah,
people do it better?
yeah. Listen, I think email gets the flip side is email does get abused. People abuse email. People get annoyed with their emails. So when it's done wrong, it can be sort of a bit of a negative thing. So the thought of then that being underrated is sort of sometimes confusing. People say, well, when I get emails that are spammy or salesy, I don't like them. Well, newsflash, you don't like any spammy stuff you get on anything. It's just that with email,
True.
you notice it, right? So I think that's one thing. But you know what? Another thing is it's been around for a bit, hasn't it? It's not new and sexy, and it hasn't really
Yeah.
changed over the last sort of 10,
Yeah.
15 years. And I think sometimes we just get like our awareness gets pulled towards what's sort of new, what's sexy, what people are sort of spinning as the next best thing. And I like to keep things straight and obvious. If it's not going to add to the business-based result, if it's not going to help the business, then there might be a better thing to do. There might be a better media to use. There might be a better way to market your products or services. But generally speaking, email is always useful for any company, whether it's just a newsletter, whether it's part of a nurturing sequence, or whether it is generating leads and then essentially marketing and selling to that list. There are many ways to use it, but I think most people just think it's sort of dead and gone. I mean, every social media platform that you use, or every app that you use, you log in using what? You either log
An
in
email
using your,
address.
yeah, or you log in using your Facebook, but how do you log into that? An email address. So it's not done by far, and yeah, it's still got a lot of juice left.
Yeah. No, I like that. So, how do you measure the success of a digital marketing campaign? What's how does someone know if something's worked well? How do we measure that?
Yeah, look, it's different for every business. I mean, it is a bit of a science and an art, right? So, scientifically speaking, it is essentially about revenue. There is no way to really argue that. Marketing should help drive sales. So, if it's successful, you should have more sales opportunities. Although that does need to take into consideration the sales process is a good one. We don't really get involved with anything that isn't ready for that, because otherwise it looks bad on us. The sales process needs to be good and proven. People need to know what they're selling, need to know what they're doing, need to know how to communicate with their prospects. But to answer your question, revenue, global revenue, so not just from the one campaign that was done, but globally over quarter to quarter to quarter, and then annually, that needs to be considered first and foremost. Then inside of each campaign, you've got your ROI, your return on investment. Now, there's two ways to look at that as well. There's literally, for this ad campaign, we spent £300 and it generated this much money back. Our margin is this, therefore that means that was a success or not. But you've also got, which a lot of people forget, task budget as well. If you weren't paying for this to be done, you'd have to either do it yourself and be paying in your own time and energy, or you'd have to be doing that within your own organization and taking someone away from doing their proper job, if that makes sense, which is why as an agency we can sort of go in and work around companies in that way. So to say if a digital marketing campaign was a success or not, looking through the microscope, ROI, things like how much impact it made, what was the point of it? Were you looking to get reach? Were you looking to get traffic? If so, cost per click is important. And then looking at the global effect of that on your actual revenue over time. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, no, that answers the question. So having gotten a very high level analysis of how to measure the success of a digital marketing plan, what are some of the different verticals of digital marketing, I'm going to reel it right back to the beginning. What is a digital marketing plan? What does that look like? What's that journey like for, let's say, somebody who is starting a business in e-commerce, or somebody who is wanting to market themselves as a videographer? So let's start with the person who is starting a business of an e-commerce. What does a digital marketing journey look like for that person?
So someone starting out, I mentioned earlier there about task budget, task cost, if you like, and then your advertising budget, which is a separate expense. When you're starting out, like anything, you have to get your hands dirty and you have to do a lot yourself. If you're starting out in an e-commerce business, you probably already know a little bit about it, I would assume, and you see some opportunities of what you should do. I would say you've got to get in there and you've got to think about your marketing calendar, month to month. Where are the sweet spots for your product or service? Like, what days can you hook onto? Like, is it, if you were an e-commerce business that was selling pens, for example, what could you link into? When's National International Art Day, or when is International Whiteboard Day? Because there's international days for everything. And then find out like where those days are, and then market smartly around them. Now, the reason I say smartly around them is because a lot of time what people do is just go, oh God, it's International Whiteboard Day tomorrow, we better do something. It should never work like that. That's reactive. Instead, it should be planned, and it should always lean against your overall strategy. So the actual answer to that
That's good.
You need to think about what is your business-based result. We talk a lot at Tide 55 about business-based results, okay? Because you can get caught up in the likes and the temptation to, put out content that does well and gets lots of views. But your business-based results. So, okay, this quarter or even this year, what we want to do is we want to get this product out there. We want to sell this much stock. We want to do this. We want to do that. Great. So then where are our best chances to do that? Well, Christmas, that's a big chance to shift a lot of stock and sell stuff. We've got some other sweet spots around the calendar year. Great. Well, let's plan our marketing activity around those. Then what else have we got? Well, we need a regular cadence. Right. So that means month to month. Where are we going to focus? Well, payday. That's always a good place to focus stuff. In and around payday. So what we're going to do when we're not on payday? Well, then we're going to go and put out content that engages with the market, that shows people what we do, that connects with other people, other profiles, other brands that we can collaborate with. We might do a few giveaways. So all of these things have to come into play. Now, it's very important to know that, because otherwise you just go day to day and you end up wasting time and money. So you have to be realistic about where you're at. You've got to look at your budget. What have you got to spend in terms of time and energy yourself when you're starting out? But also, what can you spend on your ad spend? And never go all in on ads until you know that they're feeding your margin. especially with an e-commerce business, because you could be making or acquiring products for X, you could be having Y as your marketing cost, and if you're not making Z, which is your profit that you need, your margin that you need, then my friend, you're running at a loss and you're soon going to crash. So the maths are very important as well. So I'd recommend that with any kind of pay-per-click or any ads that you do, you have to make sure those ads are actually converting at a profit, and then you're in a good place because you can start to scale until eventually, and I'm nearly finished, eventually you have enough in your budget to then pay somebody else perhaps to go and really accelerate that through lots of hard work and effort and energy that you don't have because you're only one person, right? And you've got lots of other things to do. And at that point, you're starting to build out your team. Please understand that some people, and you'll read about it and you'll see videos, can like get an idea, get a product, get it out there and bang. And it's like, whoa, we made 3 million in our first 3 months. But most people don't. Most people don't. Okay. And that doesn't take into consideration the people that don't actually achieve it at all. And it fails after 6 months. So please understand that all of that stuff about how, oh, I did it and it was easy, that's all just a big fat distraction. That's someone else's agenda. And what you've got to do if you're in that startup position is focus on what you're doing today and why that's important for tomorrow. And if you rinse and repeat that, eventually you'll create your own success story. But don't get distracted and comparing yourself to other people and other brands, because that's just a tiny percentage of the bigger picture.
Yeah, the irony is that the people who the people who are saying that we've made 3 million in 1 month, we've made 6 million in month 2, those people are actually taking you on their own digital marketing journey. So they've got this big flashpoint, this big hurrah, and they've segmentized it into showing you what they want to show you, taking you through a lead generation process where you want to find out how they did it, and how do you exchange to get that knowledge of how they did it. You give them your email address, and once you give them their email address, they now have the ability to take you through a nurturing process where they want to find out what sticks with you and what you like. So the irony in all of this is going back to what you said about email and the importance of email. Even these big boys and girls who are making all this money, they're still utilizing it to the best of their advantage. So it's very, very ironic how you brought that up as well. But yeah, no, that was very, very clear. How about for somebody who is has a service-based business, so not necessarily e-commerce, but a service-based business. So maybe somebody who cuts grass, or somebody who does a wedding photography. What could a journey look like for that person?
Yeah, it's going to be different. Again, marketing is such a wide topic. There's so many ways to essentially get your products and service in front of the right people, which is kind of what the attention and awareness part of marketing really is about. Now, I can speak a little bit from experience here, because my past sort of life career started out as a personal trainer. So you're talking 2009, 2007 actually. Service-based business, time for money, essentially, which is great, and there's a lot of joy that can be achieved from a service-based business, and you can scale service-based businesses too. And the reason I say that, I don't want anyone to sort of be lesser than anyone else, because it's a fantastic way to start a business. You have to prove that you can do what you say you can do. When you prove, and the reason that I say when is because you have to show other people, when you prove what you can do, you then utilize the tools at your disposal: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, website, email list, however you want to do it. And you use those tools to show people what you've done. You ask your handful of clients, and I always used to say to people in the fitness industry, if you only trained your close friends and family, you'd have a full-time job. It'd be sweet as. We tend to focus on like taking over the world too soon, right? Just serve your close friends and family. You got 5 or 6 clients as a wedding photographer. You got 5 or 6 clients as someone in a service-based business. You then ask those people, those human beings, what do you like about what I do? What could I improve? And then the final question is, why did you choose me over anyone else? You take all those answers, you write them all down, and that then forms your content plan. You then tell the world what it is about you that's different to everybody else. You tell the world what you've achieved with the clients that you've got and why people come and see you. And you tell the world things that you're going to be doing soon, which are the things you're going to improve on, because people can relate to that. Service-based businesses, it's all about like that human to human, that H to H feel. The person on the other side is a human being that has problems, challenges, aspirations, desires, fears, and it's about communicating that you could be one of the potential solutions to any of that through what you do. And a lot of people miss that, and they compare themselves to their peers as well too much. They compare themselves to people in their own industry. That's not your market. Your market is the person that needs your service. But we're thinking about our competitor. We're thinking about the guy or the girl over there. Oh, if they see that, they might think I'm not very good, or they might think I'm this and that and the other. And it paralyzes so many people from actually putting out the real message of what it is that they do. So forget all that. That's just a distraction. And replicate the stuff that you do day in, day out for those handful of human beings, and just broadcast that onto the internet. That would be my advice.
That's good. No, that's really good. Taking on board before you do anything digital, it's human to human.
Absolutely.
So taking on board what other people say, and I feel like in the I was going to say in the generation, but in the world that we live in now, uh, feedback and negative feedback, especially, people can take and it can really get to them. But in the business sense, in the business world, somebody's feedback can really ramp up what you need to do, because at times it's not what we want to hear, it's what we need to hear that will take us to the next step. So what you just said there is literally bang on. Um, I've got a question for you. So we live in a world that's always evolving. Information technology is always changing and always advancing. How do we stay up to date with the different digital marketing trends and strategies?
So staying up to date, like getting informed from a trusted source is really useful. So like we are like partners, like Google partners. We have Shopify partners. The source, very important. Am I still there? Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Cool. My screen. Sorry, my screen blacked
Your
out.
screen's frozen. Yeah.
Shall I keep? I'll just keep
Yeah,
talking.
yeah. Keep talking. Keep talking. Yeah.
So getting informed as close to the source as possible, and you know, as an agency, we also give out information through blogs and newsletters and through social. So that's very important, so that you know what trends are there. But the most important thing is to not think that every single one of those buses is one that you've got to jump on. Like sometimes a trend might feel like something that you want to engage with, but it's just the sort of ego that you want to do it because you think it will be funny, or you think it will be cool, or you think, well, my competitor's just done it, so therefore I should do it. Or, you know, my auntie and uncle were talking about it around the dinner table when we had a family meal, so it must be important. Again, business-based results. Who's your market? Who's your audience? Do they need to see you doing that thing, that trend? Do they need to see you do that content trend? Do they need to know that you're on that platform over there? It might be that you can put yourself in as many places as you like if you've got the time and energy or the resources, but more often than not, it's about staying focused on the trends that are actually going to serve your sales process. Because remember, marketing feeds the sales process. So if it's not going to help,
Yeah.
a lot of people think, oh, I got a million. My mate got 1 million views on TikTok shutting the car boot on his car. Like, that's not a joke. That's actually, you know, that really happened. Did it change his life at all? No. It just made him think about what else he could do to get 1 million views, and then it just sort of took up loads of his time. It has to serve your sales process, otherwise it's kind of a little bit pointless. So just be careful.
That's really good, because at times we can get lost in the source of views and interaction, but if it actually doesn't lead to, like you said, the business, the actual stuff that actually makes the business tick, which is money coming in, then what's the point? Tommy, can we get you to just refresh your screen?
The browser?
Or refresh refresh the browser to
Let's do it.
Let's see if it comes up. If you've got any questions that you want to ask Tommy whilst we've got him here, do go ahead and put it into the chat, and we'll go ahead and fire Tommy those questions. Tommy is the founder of Tide 55, which is a really, really knowledgeable and strategic digital marketing company. So he's got the insight, he's got the game. So whilst we've got him here, let's ask him the questions. So is Tommy good to come back? Pardon? What did you say? We're just having a few difficult technical difficulties here. But yeah, if you do have any questions or anything like that that you'd like me to ask Tommy this afternoon, do go ahead and put that into the chat, and we'll go ahead and ask him. If Tommy is still frozen, we'll just go ahead and bring him in with the audio like we were before. Is he back now?
Am I there?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Oops. In case you've missed anything, I'll just go ahead and let you know a bit more about UKBF and also some of the other events and webinars that we've got coming up. In a few weeks' time, I will be speaking to Austin Okolo, who is the founder of the Gen Z Club. So, in case you didn't know, we live in a world where millennials have now become Gen Z. Gen Z are the new wave and the new batch that are taking over the world. And if you're a business, knowing how to position yourself, your brand, your service, or your product in front of a Gen Z audience is something that is very, very important, because this is the generation who are going to be seeing your stuff for the next 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years time. So knowing how to position yourself and position your brand or your offering in front of them is very, very important. Austin will be coming on this webinar to give us insight into exactly what we need to do as business owners to be successful in positioning ourselves effectively in front of a Gen Z audience. He and his business partners have a network that spans over 500,000 Gen Zs, right? So this is somebody who knows what he's talking about. So tune in. There's going to be more information on our social media platforms about this webinar. We've also got the Grow podcast, which follows my journey as a small business owner as I go through the motions of understanding what we need to know to grow our businesses. So I speak to experts such as Tommy on digital marketing. I speak to experts in sales. I speak to experts in getting investment and funding for our companies so that we can find out the different areas that we need to grow to be effective in our businesses. So check out all those things on our social media platforms. Just type in UK Business Forums or UKBF on whichever platform you like to use best, and you get some more information about that. Tommy's back. Pardon? Hello. Is Tommy back? Pardon? You can't hear Tommy. Okay. We seem to be having a few technical difficulties here. Is Tommy? Can you see Tommy? Okay. Can you hear him? Is he unmuted? Okay. Let's try adding him in and let's see. Is it?
Am I there?
Yeah, I can hear Tommy. Let's add him in. Yeah, let's add him in. He's here. Tommy, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. Yeah. Are we able to bring his video back in? Video's not working. Okay, but Tommy can hear me, right? Okay.
Off, mate.
All right. Yeah, Tommy's back now. I think your the video might not stretch for the rest of the episode, but as long as you can hear me and we can hear you, it's fine. I've got a question here for you, Tommy. If you're ready to take it, that is. Tommy there? Hello.
Right, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Mate, sorry, everybody. My phone kept like refreshing the thing, but I've gone onto my laptop now. So well done. That's a really hard skill, everybody, that Jacob just did, which is kind of like that whole comic relief, like filling the gap. Like whilst we
Oh my gosh.
connect back to the studio, go live back to the studio. Oh no, keep going. So well
Keep
done, mate.
going.
Sorry about that.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, you
Technology,
learn on the
eh?
job. Yeah, you learn on the job. Yeah. I've got a question here before we move on to my question. So it says, Tommy mentioned that email is his favorite marketing tool, but we shouldn't abuse it. How can we use it effectively? How often should we send out emails, and what about?
Yeah. So I think about it like this: if someone kept knocking on your door and you didn't really want to hear from them, you didn't really like them, you didn't really want to know what they had to say, you would probably just ignore them, right? And eventually you'd get annoyed and you'd call the police. Well, that's a little bit like email. And, you know, calling the police is unsubscribing. So we don't want that to happen, but it's going to happen sometimes. But if that person who's knocking on your door is genuinely interesting, you think they care about you, they've always got something to give you, then you're probably more likely to answer the door, aren't you? So it's a little bit like that. It's no different. Like the psychology is always the same. You have to provide something useful. Sometimes sending email is a case of just staying front of mind. A lot of that is the same with social media, for example, just sending it out there to stay there, front of mind. But really, the best way of doing it is at a minimum, send out a newsletter, because then that gives you a reason and it gives everybody else a reason for you to be knocking on the door. Hey, I'm knocking on the door because this is what I do every month. It's a newsletter. You don't have to answer it, but if you want to answer it, I've got some stuff that you might want to know about. Now, please make sure that you put stuff that they want to know about, not stuff that you've just got stuff to tell them. You know, like
Mm,
imagine they open the door and you're like, I've been really busy. I've done lots of things. They don't want to know that. What they want to know is, what have you found out about those things that you did? So, for example,
mm.
listen, the last month, we've been doing a lot with um, social media ads. And one thing that we found is that businesses are B2B businesses. It's quite a useful bit of information to receive in a newsletter. Remember, that's all it is. It's just a newsletter. It's low energy, but make sure that you increase your chances of nurturing your community, your list, your people by actually having something that they will benefit from, not just telling them what you've been doing.
I absolutely love that analogy of somebody knocking on your door and, oh, hello, I've got something that you may want, and then start banging on about how good looking
Themselves.
you are, or how what shoes you bought this month. Actual value, or giving the person what they want to know, or even once you've got the person's information. I know that's something that people do, is the nurturing process, to actually find out the interest of that person, so that you can now deliver to that person the value or information that they need or what they want. Because by you giving them value, by you giving them the game that they're looking for, they're always going to be likely to click on your stuff or open your emails than not. So what Tommy said there, giving them what they actually have an interest in, is something that will always keep you and your brand and your content front of mind, as Tommy said. Um, I've got a message here from Mrs. H, which is actually one of my first one of the questions I've got coming on later, but I'll ask it anyway. As a new business, what's our first step?
As a new business that has some customers, I will assume and answer from. If you haven't, then that's the first step, is to friends and family. Friends and family is always the first step. Like, listen, I'm looking for some support. Ask for help. I need some help. I'm starting this new business and I'm just trying to raise awareness. And you're one of my friends. You know, you're someone I went to school with. You're someone I work with, whatever I used to work with. Could you share this with anybody that you think would be interested? And that thing that you share is not just, your website or a video of you saying how amazing you are, it's something that might be useful for someone who's interested in that sort of thing. For example, if you started a business that you're selling the most comfortable socks in the world, you would want to share reasons why people health reasons why people might want to change the socks that they wear, for example, or 5 things that you never knew about socks. I'm using socks because it's a very strange example. It can be applied to anything.
Mm,
So that would be a great thing to start with. But in terms of like, yeah, okay, we've done that. We're a bit further on than that. We've got a few customers. Then I would suggest similar to the service-based business advice that I gave, send questions out, get feedback from your customers, get feedback even from people that say no. Like if anyone ever says no, like we go through the whole proposal thing, I always sort of think, damn, it would be nice to get that. You don't get them all, you don't win them all. But to then take that kind of performance approach, that sports approach, maybe that's where I kind of learned that from, and ask like, look, what was it about our proposal that just didn't do it for you, or what was it about what we sell or our service or our product that just wasn't quite right? And you'll be amazed at some of the things, because you build up a story in your own mind about why someone said no or why someone doesn't like it or doesn't buy it, but it's probably not the case. And so when you get
mm,
that information back, it's like really useful, because then you can bear that in mind and keep going and growing. So to answer the question, be open to feedback, ask for feedback. Don't assume you know already, because you don't. You're a new business. You could know your industry or think you know your industry well, but you're a new business. So, you are a new player in the game. Ask questions, get feedback, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable.
yeah. Linking back to the question that Mrs. H asked, can you walk me through your process for
Sure.
creating a digital marketing plan? So if somebody came to you, doesn't really matter which discipline of business they're in, whether it's e-commerce service based, whether it's starting off, whether they're in a scale phase, what would your process of creating a digital marketing plan be?
We sit down and we talk about the history of the business. We get to understand and get to know the people running the business. And then we talk about where the business is going to be in the next 12 months. What is it that you are working towards? If this time next year we were to meet each other, what would you want to tell me you had achieved? Business-based results. Then we scale that back to, okay, well, if that's where you'd like to be in a year's time, it might be based on revenue, it might be based on profit margin, it might be based on product development, services sold, contracts acquired. Those key markers are then what we're looking to assist and help with. So then we would scale back from that. We would then look at what tools, what are our best options? Because there are so many different ways that you can market, but what's the best one? And most importantly, what's the one that you need to do now that's going to bring you the most bang for your buck, right? That's going to really build some momentum. And that's when we would start looking at things like Google Ads, things like SEO, things like web development, things like paid ads on social strategy, maybe long form content, blog writing, articles, engagement. And we would look at which ones are we going to go with here? What's going to be the best formation to take in order to achieve that business-based result that we set out that we want to achieve? Otherwise, you're just guessing. So it has to be that way. Reverse engineer from a successful outcome. So yeah, hopefully that helps, because I can't sit here today and say, oh, what you need to do is Google Ads, because I don't know anything about your business. And that's
Mm,
why that is the process that we go on, is we talk and we find out. Now, every business needs digital marketing, because every business needs sales, and this is the world that we live in right now.
mm.
But I could say to you, oh, it's really great to get on LinkedIn and do this and do that. But your business might need, like, it might be an absolute missing a trick if we don't start doing some Google ads on some specific search terms. So it's just really hard to say, but that's the process that we take.
Yeah, no, I like the reverse engineer approach of where would you want to be, and also then working your way back with the different elements that you feel from experience will work effectively to help that person achieve their end result. Because going back to what you said before, when we tend to have a scattergun approach of trying everything and dabbling in anything, we're stretching ourselves very thin, our time, our resources, any money that we're putting into actually creating content or putting spend behind a Facebook ad. We don't know what's going to work. But when we know, have an idea of where we want to be, then getting in line the different key things that can help us achieve that is probably a better and a more effective way, time and resource wise, to achieve your overall result. And even from that point, it's all still being a marketer myself, and I think Tommy would probably agree with this. Even with the approach of having the end goal and then reverse engineering, it's still a process of trial and error, because we still need to know how the Google ads are going to do. We still need to know what YouTube's going to do. We still need to know what search and key terms are going to do. We still need to experiment within those things. And within those things, once we find out what's working effectively well within those things, that's when we double down and cut something out to get to where we're going much quicker. So I love that reverse engineer approach there. So how do you approach targeting and segmentation within your digital marketing efforts?
Yeah, again, working from the top and reverse engineering, what do we know about our customers based on their behavior? This is why I love email, because you can dangle a topic out with a subject line and some content, and then you can see who engages with that email by their behavior, what they're clicking on. So that's one really great way to use segments. And we're a big fan of showing and sending things to people that are really relevant, that really enter the conversation in their minds. Because when you do that, you come across as a brand or a company that really understands the person. It feels like you care about them, you understand what it is that they are about, and you align in your values. Now, the great thing again about email is that you can do that without everybody knowing that you're doing that. So again, I could send out an email with like 4 subjects as options that you click on. So, hey, look at these new things over here. Look at these blue ones. Look at these red ones. Look at these green ones. Look at these yellow ones. People that click on nothing, they're probably not interested, or the subject line didn't do it for them. People that clicked on yellow ones, and this could be a different product or service. I'm not specifically saying click on the color that you like, although you could then only follow up with those people on that topic. So you've segmented them up. These are guys and girls that are into that. Cool. Let's do a follow-up sequence in a few weeks' time that is only talking about that, because that would suggest that it would be more successful, without sending it to everybody else and causing fatigue in their email inbox. So that's one way through email. And there's, by the way, that goes deep. That goes really deep based on behavior, but we haven't got time to go into that now. In terms of social, you can do that with different content that you put out. Some people are going to dig video, some people are going to prefer to read blog posts and articles and long form captions. Some people are going to like to look at carousel. So you can segment your strategy with your content that way. But listen, you have to, like you say, throw stuff out there and see what works. And ultimately, all of this is human to human. So what works for one person is not going to necessarily work for another. At the start, you probably either need to just focus on one sort of niche and just only speak to those people, or you need to just not worry about it too much. But as you start getting momentum and you want to start growing, going from what we call like a front runner in your industry to an industry leader, that's when you've really got to start segmenting down your marketing and showing different ads to different people at different times, looking at what landing pages people go to, how you can follow up with that traffic with an ad. And it goes, again, very, very deep, which we don't have time to go into here. But essentially, don't run before you can walk, but understand what it is that different people that are classed as your customers are all about. What do they respond well to? What don't they respond well to? And always keep an eye on it. It's really important.
Yeah, no, I really, really appreciate the breakdown when it came to especially the segmentation there. You mentioned SEO in one of your previous answers. How do we incorporate SEO into our digital marketing strategy?
The answer is you pay somebody to do it. Which is why we talk all the time. We're a team of 4 here, and we could all be doing SEO all day, every day, and around the clock, because there's so much to do, and there's always value associated, because what you're doing is you're essentially putting yourself up the rankings, which means when people are looking for your product and service, it is you that they see. Now, if you've got a rubbish website or your sales process isn't good, that's going to be a waste of time, energy, and money. So start with that first. Always make sure that your website or your inbox is optimized Sometimes that's about you and your mindset and being able to ask the right questions, use the right language. Once you're confident with that, then start with just knowing what your keywords are that you need to focus on, doing some market research, some competitor analysis. There are some sort of apps and things that you can use that can help you get a bit of a foot like on the ladder. But essentially, if any business wants to grow sort of beyond, I'm pulling numbers, but sort of beyond 100,000 in revenue, depending on what the product is, of course, you're probably going to need someone that's got the SEO hat on, either as an outsourced option like us, or someone within the business that knows what they're doing. If you really want to compete, because it is a competition. SEO is about competing on that search, and put out content that's relevant to those topics. That helps as well. Blogs, articles that are all about that specific keyword or search term that you're looking to rank higher in, and just do it again and again and again and again and again, whilst keeping an eye on any changes that might be happening. Hence why it's important to have someone with the hat on that's actually doing it for you.
Yeah, I like how you just came straight in and said, get someone else to do it.
It's hard. It's a big topic.
Yeah, it's something that can always, it's always evolving, always changing. This is how important, how big, and how vital search engine and search is in business. TikTok, the biggest growing social media platform, the biggest growing platform in the world right now, they're really, really keying in and honing in on search. Anything you're searching for in TikTok is they're driving people to, for example, if you are a candle business and you're making content on TikTok or you're making content in general on how to get your candle to smell like roses, for example, if you make a video of you making your candle smell like roses and you go on TikTok, you caption it, candles smell like roses, or how to make candles smell like roses, because you've put that specific caption and someone searches that specific title or any of those words that stand out, you will likely appear on the page or as a result. So the importance of keywords, the importance of search cannot be underestimated. And as Tommy said earlier, it's important that we get our hands dirty and have a dabble or get some understanding in these particular things, because as small business owners, we may not have the budget to always get the services of agencies straight away. But for us to get an understanding first, so that we know that when the agency takes over, they're only adding greater value to on top of what you've already acquired. It's really, really important to get clued up in search. You don't have to do it yourself. We don't have to do it ourselves, but get a good understanding or good basic understanding of it.
Yeah, just a quick one to add to that with TikTok, right? Search prediction. So going on the same example of the candles that smell like roses, if you're a candle seller, candlestick maker, if that's you, then, and you have a product that smells like roses, then it's going to be useful for you to have people watch your content, right? So you put out the content that is search like optimized in terms of like how to make candles that smell like roses, or how to, or where to buy candles that smell like roses. And then you have that piece of content out there. Now, what TikTok will do is if somebody's watching videos that are about candles, and it looks like from the algorithm that they're interested in candles that are scented, then it understands that later on, that person might search one day for candles that smell like roses, because that's logical, right? It understands, oh, there's something brewing here. This person keeps looking and watching these videos longer than everything else. It seems that they are into candles, and it seems that they are into candles that are scented. So you've already been predicted on. It's already thinking one day you're going to search for that. So it pops that up there and it challenges that. And if it then is a success, then it repeats that. So it knows what you're going to search. The same with Google. It already sort of knows you, where you're at in your life, what you're into, what you like, what you don't like, what you bought recently, what you might need again, because you bought that thing, you might need this next. and it will start predicting that. And people that are paying for their ads to be shown and paying for Google ads, TikTok ads, that's where your content goes to the people that it thinks are pre-qualified. So it's really clever, and that's why it's important to dabble in it when the time comes.
Yeah, I've got a great question off the back of this. How do we use data to inform our digital marketing decisions?
Always use data. Like I have worked really hard to just bring myself into like the channel of obvious, because if the data, things like well, first of all, conversions, sales, how many leads are coming in, where those leads are coming from, what's the conversion rate like with that one versus that one, what's the cost per acquisition, what's the cost per attention, so cost per click. With organic content, it could be what subjects are people responding better to. Once you know that data, you then have to listen and apply that in your plan. What people, business owners tend to do is they go put their finger in the wind and they think, oh, that's what I'll do. Their opinion, their subjective opinion is never as good as the objective data. Like, sure, you get a hunch, you get a gut feeling as a business owner because you know your topic, you know your product inside out, you're passionate about it, but the data always wins. So we could look at how a marketing campaign is performing and go, whoa, we did not think that running pre-roll YouTube ads would have been the biggest winner here, but it is. It's bringing in a way better cost per acquisition, a way better cost per attention in terms of clicks and traffic. So we need to do more of that. We would not have known that if we had not looked at the data, which is why when we work with our clients, we're providing reports, we're digging in, we're doing research, because then we can provide what's going to be the best bang for our buck. And we might be able to identify new opportunities as well. So data-wise, you have to make sure that you're tracking that, and it can be easy not to and just go on what you think is the best thing. But then if you do that, don't come back in a month's time thinking, oh, nothing's worked. Go with the data.
That's great. The importance of data cannot be underestimated. As Tommy said, it quickly allows you to highlight what's working, what's not, so that you can double down or spend more time and resource on what is working and quickly throw out the window what's wasting your time. I've got a few questions myself, but people have got some really good questions that I wanna ask you before I throw mine in here. Have you got time, Tommy?
Yes, mate. Rock and roll.
Yeah. Okay. So how can you keep track of people who fall out of the marketing and sales funnels? How does retargeting work? So you can see the question that's just popped up on your screen there as well.
Yeah, I see that there. Yeah, it's a great question. Now, retargeting, you can have like, so there's two sort of ways to look at this with the question that's been asked. The positive retargeting is, I've shown an interest, so show me what's next. A great question to ask in marketing, but also in life, is what's next? Because it allows you to then think about, right, well, logical progression. So for example, someone has shown interest by watching 75% of a product video that you've just posted. So that would assume then that that person has seen enough of the video to understand a little bit about it and probably is interested in it. So you might then set up a retargeting ad that targets people that have watched 75% of that video and show them a link to an article which gives you 3 reasons why this product is great for this problem. So it's really spelling it out. If you've watched that and you're interested, you're probably going to then click that. Then on that product page, on that article page, there could be a link to actually add it to cart. Even better if there's a special offer involved. So that's one example, particularly with an e-commerce business, that a retargeting ad can be really useful and how that can play out. In terms of people falling out of a funnel, that's really, really delicate, because if they've kind of fallen out because they've not taken the next action, then all you need to do is look at what's in between the two things. So if it was like, let's just say email 3, because like with funnels, you get usually a series of emails, right? So it's like intro email, send this one after this time, send another one after 2 days, blah, blah, blah. Let's say that there's a bit of a dead spot between like email 3 and email 4. Well, guess what? Something's missing. Something's not quite right. So we would then look at email 3 and we would sort of take the people that haven't joined the next part of the funnel and we would remove that segment and we would experiment on a very delicate basis to see if we can reignite those people to take the next step towards the sales process. You know, I love my analogies of traditional business. So I look at it like this. You've got a shop. and in the shop there's a shop counter. You've achieved the attention of that passerby because they've looked at the sign outside and they've walked in the shop. They've had a little look at some products, but now they've turned around, they're starting walking towards the door. So what wasn't quite right? What didn't keep them in the shop? How come they didn't walk closer towards the till? And how can we change that? Therefore, what's next? Well, it might be that we need to change the front part of the shop because it's not doing what it needs to do. It might be that we can catch that person on the way out and say, hey, thanks for coming in today. I've noticed that you're leaving. What is it that you were looking for? Just out of interest. Things like that. Then in a digital capacity, it could be you picking up the phone, or it could be you sending an email saying that, look, I noticed that you didn't click the link because you weren't interested or whatever, but you were interested in the things that you already did. So I just wanted to know, like, where are you at? How can I help you? Depends how much effort you want to put in, doesn't it? But a lot of people don't put any effort in. They just think, right, here's my funnel that someone's built for me off the something that they might have signed up to. And sometimes those things work really well, by the way. But here's my funnel, pre-built, all the bells and whistles, pump a load of emails in and think, didn't work. That's like me and my kids, we play marble run. Build a little marble run thing, put the marble in the top, it goes round and down into the. If the marble falls out or it doesn't quite work, you don't just keep putting marbles in. You've got to go and fix that little bit. You've got to fix the plumbing. And it's a little bit the same when it comes to funnels. Yeah. So don't take it for granted. Having a funnel and pumping emails in is not enough. You have to pay attention to it, like this person is here. And you have to think about, okay, well, they're human beings at the end of the day. So what's going on in their minds right now? And how can I help enter that conversation and help them?
That is a great answer. I absolutely love the analogies as well that you're giving here. That is really good. And at the end of the day, it's a human to human. I think you're the only person that I've spoken to that has literally focused on before any sort of marketing. It's human to human, and the psychology of that. H to H. He's got it written, so he's not fake. It's literally so important. It's actually really, really important that if somebody has dropped out, pick up a phone, or if you know them, go speak to them.
Yeah.
Because the fact that you've taken time out of your busy schedule or whatever, that person doesn't know that. But the fact that you've picked up or you've attempted to speak to them off the back of that. There's credibility built because of that.
Honestly, like, people fall out of funnels and sales processes for so many different reasons. We always assume that it's because they don't want it. But I'll tell you this, right? I had an event called the Super Self Summit, which I built from nothing to doing 4 of these live events, 2-day events, weekenders. You had to buy a ticket for the 2 days. Minimum entry was £100. So it wasn't like a low commitment thing. You had to go for the weekend. You had to pay £100. There was loads of content, multi-speaker event, really, really great event. And I'll tell you this now, we would have had no one there, apart from like my mum and a couple of her mates. We would have had no one there if we didn't apply that strategy. Okay, they haven't bought a ticket off the launch. So what's going on there? We know they were interested because they put their name down to say that they were. So what's going on there? And picking up the phone and actually saying, hey, listen, it's Tommy here. Look, I know that you're interested in the event, but you haven't bought a ticket yet. I just wanted to know what's the situation and how can I help you? It's just, people just don't think like this, but we need to think like this if we want to really make a success of business. And whether that is sending an email because you can't scale phone calls, if that's the case, but if it is the case, if it's a service-based business and like you're talking about a monthly contract or something like that that's up for grabs, you'd be surprised if you just pick up the phone and say, listen, I know you were interested, but we haven't spoken yet, or we haven't done any deals, or we haven't done any business yet. What can I do to help you? What's the picture? Let me understand a little bit about you. People will go, oh, do you know what? I was meaning to do it, but I thought I missed the deadline, or I saw the special offer. It looked great, but I thought I'd missed it, or my phone died, or the dog barked, or whatever, or the kids shouted. So many things can happen that stop the person from taking action. And when you pick up the phone, you've got to ask yourself the question, what does world-class customer service look like? What does a world-class sales process look like? Is it send a bunch of emails, sit back and then put your feet up and watch what happens? Or is it going in and speaking to these people, human to human, finding out what it is that you can do to help them, because that business is not guaranteed or entitled just because you've got a great funnel.
No, this is good. This is good. I really, really, really like that. We've got a question here from Pete. Pete says, great interview. Thanks, Pete. What strategies can I employ to gain credibility and target businesses in social impact niche with my digital marketing business when my portfolio doesn't reflect that sector?
Yeah, great. So to answer that question to the best of my ability, I like to take it out of the context slightly and just imagine that you're a great roofer, you've got a great roofing company, and you're thinking about going into Windows, but you haven't done any Windows yet. So how can you go and sort of prove that you're as good as Windows as you are with roofing? Because you've got a reputation already with the roofing. I would go to the clients that I'd already done some roofing for, in your case, apply this to your context. And then I would say, listen, you know that roof? Yeah, great. How's it going? Still happy with it? Great, good. Listen, I don't know if you know this, but I'm doing Windows as well now. And we've got this great offer for people that we've already worked with. It is really, really good because we're going to be taking this to the market, but we need to show some evidence of success. We need some case studies. And because I already know you and you're a great customer, and I know that I can work well with you, and I know that you've already, got it, you get it and you understand it. Like, what do you think? How interested are you in us doing some work on your Windows? If they then turn around and say no, you go, well, thank you. But listen, if you ever change your mind, come back because this is what we're doing now. We're going big on this. And you know that roof that you've got that's amazing and it's still not leaking and everything else. We're going to be giving the same quality to our Windows, which we're going to be doing all the time, building a team and everything. So, oh, by the way, who else do you know that's interested in Windows? Because, yeah, great, cool. That's what I would do. If they said yes, then you go, great. And you might have room for like 3 of these. By the way, when I say 3 of these, I'm talking about you're doing an offer. You're doing a really, really good offer. It's like almost at cost because guess what? You could sit there and you could get upset that you haven't got any work. You could get upset that you haven't got any evidence. But until you go and get that, your marketing portfolio, until you go and build your portfolio, you're going to be in the same position, right? And
It's
the definition
zero.
of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result, right? So
Yeah.
get in there with the people that you've already done some work with and then say, listen, this is what I'm doing now. They might say yes. Give them a great offer. Go and get some evidence. Go and build your portfolio. And then at the same time, start building interest of people that might be interested from people that they know, people that you know in your extended network. Do a bit of networking, get some content out. But have your next special offer ready. Your next special offer ready is still not quite RRP, but it's like there. And you have another 3 or you have another 5 and you do a great deal there because they're going to see through you. They're going to go, oh, how many people you work with? And you'll go, well, I'm working with some people at the moment. They'll go, yeah, but how many Windows have you done? And you'll go, none. They'll go, okay, well, why am I going to, you're going to have to do better than that, mate. So I think living in the real world, because I've done this many times with different businesses, it'd be great to come out and go, yeah, no, this is what I'm worth and people should pay my worth. Yes, and they will soon. But you also need to know it's a competitive landscape. You've got nothing to show them. You need evidence, you need portfolio. And I know you know this, but this is just a way that you can go and grow it even more. By that point, you've got like almost 10 maybe case studies or portfolios, depending on your product. You might not be able to get 10, but you know what I'm talking about. Then you go, right, we're there now. No more deals, no more discounts that are under the RRP or that are under that margin. And that's when you start running ads and that's when you start going for it because you've got the evidence, you've got the portfolio. And if you're good at what you do, because this isn't guaranteed, you're not entitled to any of this. If you're good at what you do and you deliver those results, you shouldn't have a problem, my friend.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Let us know if that helped you, Pete. Just let us know if that helped you by coming back with a comment. Just got a few more questions here before we lock up for today. All right, so we're gonna just touch on social media quickly. How do we best? What's the best way to handle negative feedback and reviews when it comes to something that we've put out into the world? Not necessarily social media, but social media or whether it's an email that we've sent out. What's the best way that we can handle that negative feedback?
Yeah, Jacob, it's such a great question. I'm really, really grateful for you asking it because I really want to go there with this. Right, listen, there's the pay line. Okay. If someone's crossed the pay line, so they've become a customer, then whatever happens, that feedback is feedback that you should listen to. So if it's negative feedback, especially, you need to understand that there are some people that become problem customers or problem clients. That always happens. But their feedback is still very, very important. The worst thing to do when someone crosses that pay line, they've become a customer and they got negative feedback, is to ignore it or tell them that they're wrong. It's important to listen to it because not only can you repair any damage that might have happened, but you can actually build your reputation. You know, what sort of person, what sort of company are you? You know, because they say that who we are under pressure is who we are. So when you're under that pressure, you've got negative feedback, how you deal with that forms part of who you are as a person, as a company. So never ignore that or tell someone that they're wrong. You always get problem clients, always get problem customers. But if you show that respect and that care, at least then you can make a judgment from that. Now, everything before the customer line, before the sale, it's important to understand that sometimes it's not feedback, it's just opinion. If you think about a sports person that's absolutely phenomenal at what they do, the top of their game, you know, people like Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, they don't take everyone's opinions to heart, right? If they did, they wouldn't be able to get out and put their boots on. They'd be overwhelmed. But what they would do is they would take the feedback from people that were qualified to give that feedback, people that had been there and done it, people that were highly skilled, highly knowledgeable, coaches, strategists, maybe pundits sometimes, and they would take that feedback on board. But we all need to know that we can choose what opinions are actually qualified opinions that are going to be useful to us if they're negative, and what opinions are just noise. And we've got to block that noise out and know that that's always going to happen. You can't run away from that. That's always going to happen. But sometimes there might be some qualified feedback, and then your ego kicks in and goes, shut up, you're wrong. You need to, at that point, go, yeah, do you know what? You've done a bit in business, or do you know what? You've achieved what I want to achieve. So I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to ask some questions. I've been there myself, and I've gone, oh, that doesn't feel nice at all. But you pick the phone up and you go, listen, I appreciate what you're saying, and I really want to know like what you think I could do to get better at that. Oh my God, your ego is going to dissolve. And what you might find is that that person, if they've been there and they're qualified and they're someone you should probably listen to, then that's going to do you the world of good.
That's a great answer. That's a really good answer. Especially if in marketing, when you're I remember when I was in my younger days, I was doing wedding photography and videography, and I must have done something for a family friend or a close friend of mine for their mum's 50th birthday, and I charged very, very little, but I put a lot of effort into it. And I basically, let's say, charged £200 for £1,000 worth of work. And with this stuff, it takes time, it takes hours, it takes a lot of effort. And after all of that, they still turn around and were just absolutely slating it. And I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? They were calling my phone. I was ignoring them. I was just deleting numbers. I was blocking them because they were literally bombarding my line. But as Tommy said there, that was definitely obviously the wrong thing to do, because these people became paying customers. They've crossed that pay line. These are people that you have to take on board what they're saying. So as I now matured, and I took on board what these people said, especially the valid points, that now helped me to develop in that particular craft and in that particular area, because I now knew that these people are paying. Let me not uh, harness this ego and this pride that I've got, but let me actually listen to the valid points, because those valid points can actually help me and shape what I want to do moving forward. So what you just said there is literally very, very, very important, especially if somebody's paying you to provide a service, because obviously you don't want to lose them as a customer, especially if they're bringing good money. But like you said, there are customers as well who are troublesome. So it's a bit of a balancing act there as well. Got a few more questions here. So can you give me an example of a successful digital marketing campaign that you have executed, and what made it successful?
Yeah. Wow. What a great question. Listen, there's a lot of them. Obviously, you'd expect that, doing it day in, day out. The one that really sticks in my mind is that we worked with a client, well, we still work with them, that have a fantastic business that's established over, I think, probably over 50 years, actually. And they just weren't doing anything online. They weren't doing any digital marketing. And I'd kind of seen that and managed to go in and get the thumbs up to give it a go. And the success really came from running ads and putting out content and really going all in on Google ads, search ads, because the product and service was already such a success. And the market was a very healthy market that no one in the market was really sort of putting their name to the whole digital space with it. This is a couple of years ago now. So we did it, and what we would find is that I'm not sure off the top of my head what the data was, but we managed to basically bring in like record months in terms of the products that we were selling. And the reason why it worked was because they were already very focused on what it is that they were doing. They had a great product, great service, and we just did what made absolute sense. I said this earlier about, you look at all the things that you could do to market a business, and you pick the best ones and the one that you should do first. And for this particular client, it was, let's get active on social media. Let's get some paid ads going to the website that's already doing well with the traffic that it gets already. So we just added more people into that equation through the advertising and through the content. And because people were already taking the product and service when they got to the website, it made more sense just to bring more qualified traffic to that website. So it did work really, really well. And often that's the case. If we're working with a client, we can very easily identify best strategies, first strategy, and go and do that. And it usually takes 3 to 6 months to prove that. And I love it when that happens. But we've had success there. We had success as well with one of our e-commerce clients that was selling. Oh man, they did just over £100,000 worth of sales in 1 month. And before, they were sort of averaging out at about 30, maybe sometimes hitting like 50 when they had a sale. But this was just crazy, crazy good. And it was around Black Friday. But the reason why it worked so well is because we took a very specific approach with segmentation on emails. We coincided the strategy with social. There were social ads driving traffic as well. And the website, which was the shop front, remember I told you about the shop and the till, the cash point, that was all ready. It was all ready for them. It already was there. So there was less risk. So we just brought more people to it, and we just showed more messages to people. We used a specific sales process around the emails. But that was a really, really, really exciting project as well to be working on. But it happens day in, day out. And sometimes it can be that we just managed to get one more contract for somebody, B2B business. Using our services, we just managed to get one more client that ends up paying every month, for like 3 years. Depending on their average customer cycle. And that's a great feeling as well.
Yeah. Just off the back of what you just said, what are the mistakes that people need to avoid making?
In
With
terms
all the
of digital
successes, in terms of digital marketing,
Yeah.
with great successes, what are the things that people need to avoid at each stage of the funnel, of the process?
Yeah, right. So first of all, you mentioned with your wedding photography business, wedding videography business, the initial expectations and the initial conditions is the first thing. So the promise, you got to know your buyer. We use when we teach this stuff or we're telling it to a client, sharing it with a client, the first thing we talk about is like buyer focus. You've got to be buyer focused. So what is it that the buyer wants? Now, if you illustrate or decorate something that is slightly different to that, and you manage to get the sale, but it isn't what you actually did, then you're going to have a problem right away. The worst thing you want to be doing is having great marketing, but selling a wrong expectation or a misjudged expectation. So that first initial expectation is really important, and the initial conditions are really important. A lot of the time as well, it's about staying focused and not getting distracted, particularly with like small teams or one-person businesses. Like, know your lane and be patient and just do the things that are working and do them really well. And then like add a little thing on. Don't try and do everything all at once. And we can be really susceptible to falling into somebody else's agenda, somebody else's marketing campaign. Like, this program is going to help you get from here to here in 30 days, that sort of thing. And actually, you maybe didn't need to do that. Maybe that was not a decision that was the right decision for right now. So knowing where you're at and staying in your lane is really important. Staying focused, not getting distracted. Lastly, because I see that as like the beginning, the middle, and this is like the end really of a sort of marketing journey. The end, there shouldn't be an end. When somebody buys something and they become a customer, that's not the end. There's so much more to be done to nurture that relationship, to deliver a great product, a great service, build on the customer service, extract out any social content from the story of that particular person, that particular customer, and then being able to nurture that relationship to help them come back again as a return customer, but also as a referring customer. And a lot of the time people forget that and they neglect that. And that can cause people to like buy at one time and then go somewhere else, because they're in the market still. If they buy from you one time, they're still in the market, I think. It's when they come back and they're a repeat customer or referring customer is when that individual, that human being is then fully in on your brand and your products. You get that brand loyalty where not only they bring people to you, but they're less likely to go off, with the next person that markets to them. And it happens. Like, never get like comfortable with the fact that your clients and customers, like, they are getting emailed and cold called all the time from other people. Like, it's happening all the time. That people are hitting on them all the time in the bars, right? So you got to have that loyalty, and that's only achieved by nurturing the ongoing relationship.
I really, really, this whole conversation has been filled with insight and information, a bombardment of it, and I'm even going to go back to listen to this because there's so many gems and nuggets that we can apply to our.
Good luck
There's so many.
Whoever's repurposing this has got their hands full, haven't they?
So we're going to put a link to Tide 55 in the comments right now, so people can go ahead and check you out, click on it. Is there anything that you want to kind of plug yourself and give you this opportunity to plug who you are, the services that you provide, Tommy?
Yeah, look, services. This is what I've got to say. If you've watched this long or listened this long, and you've got a question, or you think there's something I can help you with, then I'm not going to sit here and plug my services. You kind of get it, right? You can go on the website, you can have a look at what we do. But what I will say is we've come a long way together. We've gone over an hour. Our relationship, you're not a cold person to me because we've been through this together. So what I would say is email me, Tommy, at tide55.com, TIDE55.com. Just use the subject line UKBF, and I'll already know that we've been on this journey together. So we can just like pick up from where we left off, and I can be more specific and I can tailor my communications around you and your particular business. So I'd say that, like, UKBF in the subject line on the email, and then I'll know, like, we've been through this journey together and we've come this deep into some content together. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that was did you say Tommy at tide55.com?
Yeah. Just like, honestly, send me an email and just put that title UKBF in the subject line, so I know that you've come from here.
Okay, that's great. So you heard that here. If you'd like to get through to Tommy, ask him further questions, pick more of his brains out than I've already done today, just send him an email at tommy@tide55.com. That's TIDE 55.com, using the subject line UKBF, and you'll go ahead and chow down. I really want to thank you for your time today, Tommy, and the game that you've brought to everyone that's been listening. Do you have any final words, any final remarks before we close out today?
Yeah, if you're watching and listening to this, you're in a good place where you have some nurturing content coming out on a regular basis. You should always remember that. Have these guys in your corner, because there's a lot of noise out there, but these guys really care about the end result, which is helping you as a business owner. So just back yourself. It isn't easy, and never let anyone tell you that you're the odd one out. We're all in here in the trenches, as we said right at the beginning, and I salute you and respect you for that. Thank you for having me, Jacob, and the team. UKBF really enjoyed today, was looking forward to it, and thrilled that we've been able to do this.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I will let you go. We're going to kick Tommy out, but I'm going to speak to Tommy after this, so don't run away, Tommy.
Yeah, sure.
But thank you for your time today. So thank you for joining us for today's episode of UKBF Talks, which was all about digital marketing and what we need to do to increase and drive more sales into our businesses, which obviously means more income, more revenue, right? as you heard from Tommy, if you want to get in touch with him, send him an email to Tommy at tide dot tide55.com with the subject line UKBF, so he knows exactly where you came from, and he'll be happy to have a further conversation. And I'm sure, as you heard in this conversation, he's a human and you're a human as well. So I'm sure he won't mind even picking up the phone and having a further conversation with you. So I look forward to seeing you guys for our next webinar, where I'll be speaking to Austin Okolo on all things Gen Z and what we need to do to effectively position ourselves in front of a Gen Z audience, and also speak about the power of networking as well, because they run amazing networking events within the Gen Z communities. So Austin is going to be speaking about the effectiveness and the power of networking as well. So if you'd like to find out more information about us, about who UKBF are, UKBF, we are the largest online platform and community for small and micro business owners in the UK. Whether you're starting off in business, whether you're in the medium stages of your business journey, or whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, you're smashing it. All these different people are within our community, and it's all about peer-to-peer support. There's somebody there who has an answer for the issue or query that you may be going through. We have free resources, how-to guides on literally everything you need to know to run a sustainable and grow and scale your business. So get in touch with us today. We're going to put a link to ukbf.com into the descriptions now, so that you can go ahead and check out the platform. It's free to join. There's about 500,000 people within our community. So go ahead, check that out, and I will see you at our next webinar in 2 weeks' time. Have a good day.